All right, good morning. All right, I see folks who are getting signed in. All right, welcome to Building a Sustainable Social Work Career, Self-Care Practice and Assessment as a Professional and Personal Imperative. I'm really excited for this topic today and to have Amira Crawford teaching it. My name is Tiffany Rasmussen. I'm the Director of the Office of Professional Excellence here at the Columbia School of Social Work. My program, we provide workshops and trainings and serve as a resource to augment your ongoing professional development even after you graduate. All right. So just a reminder that this webinar is being recorded for educational and professional development purposes. We will stop the recording before the Q&A, and this is just to ensure a comfortable and supportive space to ask questions and express your thoughts wherever they may be. And just a reminder that these recordings will be made available within the next 2 weeks. We're looking at it being a lot shorter than 2 weeks, but giving us 2 weeks at least, at the most. All right, so with that, I want to introduce Amira Crawford. She's one of our advisors here at the Columbia School of Social Work, where she's able to fulfill her passion for teaching and supporting MSW students. She also teaches general psychology at SUNY Alfred. And then Amira also has a private practice where she provides services to individuals, couples, families, and groups, in addition to providing clinical supervision and delivering personal workshops. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amira. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much, Tiffany. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to do this presentation today. Self-care is a really, really important piece of the work we have to do. The workshop is called Building a Sustainable Social Work Career, Self-Care Practice and Assessment as a professional and personal imperative. And it is absolutely that, right? This is the sort of career and field that if we want to be able to thrive, if we want to be able to get through it and be healthy and live a full life, it's just extremely important that we take care of ourselves through this work. So our agenda today is we're going to, welcome you all. I'm going to introduce you to me and tell you a little bit about myself. We'll talk about self-care practice. We'll talk about assessment. We'll actually complete an assessment, and then we'll have the discussion and Q&A. So, as Tiffany said, my name is Amira Crawford. I've been working in the field since 2001, and I've had a really, really, really good run in this career, and I'm really enjoying it. And I've had the opportunity to work in private practice, to work as a therapist. I'm still doing therapy work, to run a clinic as a clinic director and program director, lots of different roles that I've been able to do, and it's been great. I realized how important self-care really is a few years into my career. I was working really hard, focusing on mastering my skills, getting to understand my clients better, learning more clinical theory and application and practice. Trying really hard to meet my level of client therapy office visits, and those of you who have interned with a mental health clinic are probably familiar with having to meet a certain level of visits. I was trying to complete my paperwork on time and also do it thoroughly, and also fully engage and be present with my clients. I started to find it really, really hard to do any of it. It was when I started to feel like I didn't want to show up. I just wanted a day off. I just needed to take a few minutes during a lunch break and stop and buy myself flowers or just sit and breathe and relax for a moment. That's when I really realized that something was amiss. I felt like I was sliding over from an overachiever. I was someone who had wanted to have straight A's and do really well and was really devoted to this work and really passionate about the populations that I served, to something else. It wasn't me anymore. So what I didn't realize at the time was that I was actually on the verge of burnout. I was not intentionally engaging in self-care, but that's what I was doing. My mind had started shifting, and I was putting focus on things that I needed to do in order to really feed and nourish my mind, my body, and my spirit, and keep going in our really, really difficult field. Finally, I got it. So there was absolutely no way that I would be able to continue to do this work without working in and actively engaging in purposeful and intentional self-care practice. Because at the end of the day, in our field, the work will always be there, right? The client in crisis today will be replaced with a client in crisis tomorrow, and another next week, and another the week after that. The deadlines that we need to meet are in place, and they'll always be there. That's not going to change. But what can change is our ability to function and actually meet these deadlines. We do extremely demanding work, right? It's taxing mentally, physically, and even spiritually. And just the same way that we have to pay attention to the demands placed on us in this field, we also need to place some demands on ourselves to take care of ourselves so that we can continue to work effectively in this field. Many social workers over the years have spoken with me about using their skills to help others and coming home feeling really muted by the end of the day, feeling like they didn't want to have another conversation. They just wanted silence. They didn't want to talk to their significant other or deal with their children. They just felt completely drained. And those of you, I know you guys are all about to graduate this year, and you're in your final year. So I'm sure by now you may have had that feeling after a really difficult day in your field placement, or a difficult week, or a difficult year, which it's definitely been some hard months for all of us. So that feeling exhausted, feeling muted, really comes from focusing on others and from having to really spend the day and day after day after day just focusing on others. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to. Okay. So some things to think about. We might think a bit of stress isn't so bad. We all know that stress can even be positive, right? Like we've all heard about, and have probably been there with having some stress where it causes us to focus, to do well, to tend to the things that we need to tend to, right? But there's also a very negative side. Being a social worker is rewarding, it's arduous, it's demanding, it's complex. Unless we are actively practicing self-care, this can lead to chronic, unmitigated stress. This can lead to burnout, where you, the social worker, are unable to function at an optimal level. Burnout contributes to and exacerbates mental and emotional health issues. While dealing with stress and potential burnout, many of us are also battling other concerns, right? Like dealing with compassion fatigue, vicarious trauma. I'm sure you've heard those terms. We as social workers are involved in an imbalanced give and take relationship, right? We give to our clients, and that's appropriate in our roles as their social work providers, right? We're supposed to be giving and caring and compassionate and thoughtful and trying to make sure that their needs are met and help them to learn to meet their own needs. But it does have an impact on us over time. So what is self-care, right? Self-care is a basic and essential social work skill. Self-care encompasses the activities and practices that we must participate in regularly in order to lower our stress levels, to be able to enhance our mental and emotional functioning, and to improve our overall health and well-being. Self-care is a professional and personal imperative, and you must take care of yourself in order to function well and contribute actively in our fields. If you're not able to do that, it makes it a lot harder for you to last in this career. So different types of self-care, right? There are many types. I'm going to go over some of them with you. There are several types of self-care. I have them in categories here, right? There's sensory, there's pleasure, mental or mastery, spiritual, physical, and social. So when we talk about sensory, right, we're just talking about things that you can do that are physical, right, that involve smelling, feeling, touching, tasting, anything physical. And sensory can be cuddling with a pet. It can be paying attention to your breathing, burning a scented candle, wiggling your bare feet over grass, staring up at the sky, spending the night looking up at the stars if you're able to. lay down where the afternoon sun streams into a window and just feel the sun on you. Just enjoy those moments. And the key to sensory self-care is really fully immersing yourself in the moment. That sort of self-care where you're doing these things can also even be considered a grounding technique, which is one of the things that we use for people in our fields, in our clients who are dealing with anxiety. Grounding techniques where they use their senses and they fully immerse themselves in one sense to be able to ground themselves and stop panic or anxiety from becoming out of control. So when you're doing a sensory self-care exercise, you want to be really, really, really focused and really pay attention to the physical sense that you're using. Listening to music, songs that you enjoy, breathing in fresh air, snuggling under a blanket. Sometimes I know people like to take a warm blanket and get it warm from actually like putting it in a dryer or putting it over a heater and just wrapping themselves in it to feel really good. Listening to the sound of running water, right? Sitting outdoors if you're able to, by a fire pit, watching flames, listening to night sounds. Something really simple, right? Like taking a hot bath or taking a hot shower, or a temperature that you just enjoy. That's a really good thing to do also. Getting a massage if you're able to. I know right now we're still dealing with lots of limitations, so if you have a significant other or someone who's present who can give you a massage, that might be great too. Feeling how the afternoon sun, again, just streams into a window, sitting there, you don't have to be lying. Those are some of the sensory self-care things that you can do, all of which are accessible and can be completely free, right? Then there's pleasure. Just pleasure is just what it sounds like, right? Like really doing things that you find pleasurable. Simple things, right? Like taking yourself out to eat. And now, right now, we're in a time where we can't really go everywhere, right? So, or there are some limits. So maybe you are able to take yourself out to eat, but if you're not, then maybe enjoying a meal at home that you've cooked that you really enjoy, something that you really like that just tastes delicious to you. Ordering in, doing things like being a tourist in your own neighborhood or in your own city, gardening, watching a movie, making art, doing a craft project. I think about times when I was a little girl, and those craft projects would always be so much fun in school. And even as an adult, that's something that I've definitely adopted and done, just doing arts and crafts and coloring myself and even using glitter and the fun things. Just taking a moment to really disengage from the world and do something that I enjoy. Journaling, walking dogs, going for a photo walk, right? So like taking lots of pictures while you're out of things that you like. There's mental and mastery self-care. So these are the simple things that you can do that just feel good to you because you've done them, right? Like cleaning out a junk drawer or a closet, taking an action step on something you've been avoiding, trying a new activity, driving someplace new, making a list so that you're organizing things, immersing yourself in a crossword puzzle, doing a word search, read something on a topic that you normally wouldn't. Those are some of the mental mastery things you're doing. And those are helpful because they're engaging. You're engaging yourself in something else. You're thinking about something else. You're not focused on work or stress or what is and isn't going well. But you're engaging in something that you want to do that's mental, and also just something really feels good after it's done, right? Clearing out a little mess in a drawer that you've needed to and haven't had time to can feel really good. Then there's spiritual self-care. And so when I say spiritual self-care, I just want to be clear, I don't mean necessarily religious or even necessarily having to do with a higher power. Everyone's spirituality is their own, and it's really important to recognize and honor whatever spirituality is to you. So with spiritual self-care, there are lots of different things, right? There is, you know, typical standard things like attending church, if that's something that's important to you. That can be really useful. You can read poetry, or even read like an inspirational quote or reading, candle lighting, meditation, prayer. And meditation can be more more simple than what we necessarily think, right? Like you can meditate just by sitting and breathing and relaxing and focusing on inward. You can meditate by sitting, breathing, relaxing, and focusing on one specific thing. Lots of people talk about feeling like they have to drown out the world and really focus and as someone who's trained in meditation, and that's not necessarily what meditation has to be. It has to be what works for you. So feel free to make it as simple as you need to. Writing in a journal, spending time in nature, right? Like just a walk through a park, a walk around some trees, some grass, or sitting on a bench where there's trees and grass near you, where the sky is really easy for you to see and smell some fresh air. I know I said prayer before, but just praying at any point that you feel like it can be really useful. Even things like listing things that you're grateful for, right? Like sometimes sitting down and listing 5 things that you're really grateful for. That can be considered self-care. The emotional aspect of self-care is doing things like accepting your feelings, writing your feelings down, crying when you need to, not holding back, laughing when you can, feeling free to laugh. I know one of the things that some of the people that I've worked with have spoken to me about is like, one of the things that we worked on was spending time intentionally laughing, right? So there's like, you know, laughter yoga. There's finding videos that are just funny that you enjoy and things that you can laugh at time and time again. And having a little collection of things that just make you laugh and enjoying laughing and laughing whenever you're able to. Another aspect of emotional self-care is practicing self-compassion. So really speaking to yourself with love, care, and respect, and caring about and accepting all parts of yourself, caring about and accepting who you are, what your experiences have been, and having compassion for you and for those experiences, right? Like not judging yourself harshly, not putting demands on yourself where you're not allowed to ever make a mistake or do anything wrong, but just really practicing self-compassion. I think that's so important in our field. We need to be compassionate to ourselves. We're often compassionate to others. It's so important that we share that same compassion with others. So physical self-care, right? That's exercise, yoga, walking or running. And I know people talk a lot about not being able to afford yoga or an exercise class or a dance class. And I get that. But I think it's also important to think about like yoga can be a YouTube video that you found that, you know, doesn't cost anything. Exercise can be an exercise video online or meeting up with some friends or doing some exercise over Zoom in a Zoom group, a Zoom exercise group you're part of or that you create. Going for a walk, right? A simple walk, like walking around the block, going for a run, dancing, just put on some music that you enjoy and just dance. Stretch, going for a bike ride. Sleep, which I cannot express enough how important it is, right? Like actually getting enough sleep, 6 to 8 hours a night, taking a short nap when you need to, right? So that you're feeling refreshed and feeling good. Get a regular doctor, right? So having a regular person that follows your medical care is really important. Having annual physical exams so that you can make sure that you're well. And again, that same person is following you year after year and they'll pick up on changes. Going to the doctor when you're actually sick, right? Taking medications prescribed for ongoing health issues. Following up with all your medical needs. I've known plenty of people in this field who have not necessarily done those things and who have been sick and forced themselves to go to work when they weren't feeling well. You know, and if we would not tell our clients to do things like go to work when you're sick or push through and, you know, just do that and don't pay attention to yourself, but we definitely shouldn't tell it to ourselves. Social self-care is very important. It can be really easy to go into all work and no play, right? So social self-care is a lunch date with a good friend, calling someone on the phone, participating in a book club, joining a support group, spending time with friends and family members that you actually enjoy spending time with, staying connected, possibly volunteering, taking up a sport or a gym, meeting and your neighbors, actually getting to know them, getting to know your coworkers, joining professional organizations, using online resources to connect socially. So those are lots of the different sorts of self-care that we can do and that are available. What I do want to do is I want us to think of self-care as, think of our self-care as something we would create a treatment plan around, right? What's the goal of your self-care? Enhancing your personal and professional and overall well-being. That's the goal. So we're going to create our own treatment plans around that, right? The objectives to reaching that goal: assessing your self-care needs on an ongoing basis, actively and continuously addressing physical and psychological health needs, assessing, managing, and decreasing stress, tend to your spiritual and emotional needs, build and maintain relationships with people outside of work. Your work relationships should not be your only relationships. Create a balanced life, have time for your professional endeavors, your family, your social life, your education, and anything else that's important to you and can bring about peace and balance for you. I'm just going to check the chat briefly. And I will be right back with you all. Okay. So just wanted to make sure there's nothing that I needed to address right there. Okay. So self-care assessment, right? We're going to do our own self-care assessment, and we're also going to have some questions and answers and some discussion. So first we're going to have you do an assessment. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions now just to kind of get you thinking, and then we're actually going to go into a full self-care assessment. So you're going to assess your physical, you're thinking of your physical, emotional, psychological, your spiritual, your stress, your relationships, and your overall sense of balance. We'll think about that and also the other part, and then we'll actually go into the assessment if that works. So look at each of those 5 areas. You'll rate from 1 to 5, right? Just think about this and also maybe even jot it down for yourself, right? How did you do in your foundation year with your physical self-care? Going to the doctor, taking care of yourself physically, spending time, if possible, doing things that you enjoy, emotionally, tending to your feelings, journaling, thinking about how you feel, accepting your feelings, having self-compassion, psychologically, right? Meeting your mental health needs, spiritually, spending time in nature, prayer, time with a higher power, yoga, meditation, just paying attention to your stress level and cutting out the things that you didn't necessarily need to do. Also, tending to your relationships. Identify 2 to 4 forms of self-care that you'll intentionally engage in throughout the second year. This year, your advanced year. Also identify any specific barriers that you may have that you expect and anticipate in practicing the self-care that you're planning. And what are your practices going to be that are going to help you to overcome those barriers? Identify someone, either someone inside or outside of the Columbia social work community, who you will ask to support you in those 2 things, and identifying your self-care and also removing any barriers to self-care. Okay, so I'm ready to share the self-care assessment. So Tiffany?
Hello, yep.
Yes. So I think we're ready to actually work on the self-care assessment and also have the discussion Q&A.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste the link to the assessment in the chat box for everybody. So you can go ahead and let me get this in. Oh, okay, it's great. Thank you, got it. It's got the link. So you guys can go ahead and click on the link that's there. It's going to take you to a through Brown, a self-care assessment that will be used today.
So please look at the self-care assessment. And there's ratings for each of these areas. And then we're going to talk about plans.
Okay. All right, so Amira, we're going to go ahead and stop the recording now before we move into the Q&A section. The self-care assessment, the link for that will be posted with the recording, so folks can who are unable to attend right now will be able to access that and engage in this as well. All right.
Okay, terrific. Sounds good.